Hello, welcome to the Opinionistics. I'm your host, John Malone. In this episode, don't have co-hosts. They're doing another space. Talk about finances, some old guy, the same old stuff. So, introducing from Loma Linda, California, Jeremiah Gilbert.
And thank you for having me.
Anytime. So, Jeremiah, what is it you do?
Well, my day job is a college professor. I teach mathematics, so that will turn off a lot of people right there. But my spare time, I'm a travel writer and photographer.
Hmm, intriguing. And how long have you been doing all that for?
The photography is the longest. I started that back in high school. A friend of mine was taking a course in photojournalism and was looking for someone to hang out and go shoot. So I picked up the camera, which was film back in those days. I didn't have a choice. And then after getting my degrees, I started teaching college. I went straight out of college. So half my life I've been a college professor now. And then the travel writing didn't start. I used to keep a website, where I'd write about my travels and then have links to photos. I started that back around 2005. But most recently, when everything kind of shut down in 2020, I thought, okay, I'm going to focus more on the travel writing, and put together a collection of travel tales. So that was my first book. And then I just recently released a new one, which is the first one in travel writing and photography. So my first two travel books had some just writing. This one's just writing and photography, which I found very rewarding. I like being able to do both.
Hmm, very good. And as your time as a photographer, what have been the best pictures you've ever took?
Well, my first trip out of the country, I decided to go big, and I went to Tibet. And that was just incredible. I just it was interesting up until then. And I shot in film, and I mostly shot black and white. I was concerned. Heading to Tibet, I wasn't quite sure what the situation would be, buying film or film going X-ray and such. So I switched to digital. And it's such an amazing colorful country, even the skies are such everything in color. So that trip just sort of reawakened and sort of put my photography focus into travel. Great.
All right.
Just recently came back from Turkey, which also had some incredible sights. I love Rome, so anybody running the Romans, I'm a happy camper.
Okay, that's nice. So, is there any countries around the world that you haven't been to but you want to go there just for whatever reason?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, top of my list is Yemen. Their architecture is incredible. There's an island to the south that has trees that only grow there. But unfortunately, a lot of civil unrest and conflict, so they're sort of off the list at the moment. Mali, for a similar reason. Been trying to get to Iran a few times. Middle East is always, you're never quite sure. Saudi Arabia has just opened to tourists. It's rather expensive right now. It used to be you had to get there through like a business visa. So that's somewhere definitely on that one's the easiest to get to right now, but it's also one of the most expensive. I'm kind of waiting for that to have a few more tourists and maybe prices will sort of come down.
Okay, that's cool. And whenever you do travel country to country, what is your most common or your favorite type of getting around?
It depends. I mean, I do try to rely on public transit as much as I can. So, once I arrive somewhere, often we'll choose a hotel either, centrally located near like town, this is where I want to explore, or maybe out of bit but near a metro station, for instance. So, I find it's easier that way, or, taking some local buses, long distance buses. The only challenge there is, sometimes, no one speaks English. I don't speak the language. I'm thinking of a trip I did to from Croatia to Bosnia. every time we took a break, I didn't know if it was just to stretch your legs or to go to the bathroom or to have lunch. So like 7 hours later, I arrived in Sarajevo starving because I didn't know what was going on. Went to a nearby restaurant, ordered like 2 full entrees. The waiter was rather intrigued by that. But it worked out. It was wonderful. So I do try to take local whenever I can.
Okay, that's cool. Now, was it ever a point that any of the pictures you've taken was used to be publicly be shown at an exhibit or a museum or art galleries, sort of?
Oh, absolutely. I've had a couple solo exhibitions, and then my work has been included in several group exhibitions. In fact, my photos have been exhibited in some cities and countries I haven't made it to yet. So the photos have gone there before me. So I definitely plan on making up for that. And I would love someday photos in an exhibit to actually be able to go there. There's a gallery in Greece. I've been to Greece and Athens, but they've included my work a few times now, but I've never been able to attend. There's another gallery in Glasgow. Been to Scotland, but not Glasgow. So there, the photos sort of superseded me.
Hmm, that's pretty cool. I never thought of it would have happened at some point. So it says you mentioned that you've won some awards for your photography.
Yes, I have, and for the travel writing, surprisingly.
Oh, okay then. What kind of awards have you won for those two things?
Well, a couple nice ones. So regionally, there's a national U.S. organization, um, the APA, American Photographic Artists. So twice I've won awards with them, once for travel photography and once for architecture. Because the nice thing about travel photography for me is, it's a blanket statement. It includes landscape, architecture, street photography. So sometimes I'll submit pieces under the travel moniker and sometimes under architecture or under street. So that was very rewarding. The first time I won with them was for architecture, and the two other photographers who won far exceeded me in experience, and so felt like, oh, okay, that was kind of a nice inclusion. Um, and there have been some other uh, organizations where there was one exhibit. So it's a group exhibition, and you submit. There's like 5 categories. You can submit 4 photos in each category, and then each category also has a award, for best. And that one was amazing because they accepted every photo. I won a category, or won the category award for each category, and got like their overall best photographer. That was totally unexpected. Nothing like that has ever happened since. That seemed to be a one-off.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Would you rather have extra fingers or extra toes?
Probably fingers. I could hold a bigger camera and press more buttons on the camera.
Okay, that's cool. This is a question that comes from the top of my head. Have you ever thought of living in a world that is literally nothing but gardens?
That would be interesting. I do have some minor allergies, so that would be my first concern.
Ah, okay.
But if it was very ornate and very well landscaped, the photographer in me would just go nuts, I think. So I think I could enjoy that.
Of course you would. How much time do you spend on the internet?
Oh, several hours a day. I mentioned I'm a college professor, so I'm currently teaching this summer 2 classes fully online. So Monday through Friday, I'm on with them, and then after I edit photos, I do submit them to many publications. I've had quite a lot published, but always trying to find new photos. This year I've been to Ecuador and Turkey and have a lot of new photos. So research and try to find places to submit my work takes time, the research and the submission. So yeah, I'm more than I would like to admit, probably at least 6 to 8 hours.
Ah, okay then. Would you rather be teleported 500 years into the future or 500 years into the past?
Probably the past. I've always been fascinated with ancient civilizations, and as I mentioned, like ruins, Machu Picchu, and Petra. I mean, 500 years ago wouldn't be that far for those civilizations, but I've just always had a fascination with the past, so I always say the past.
Yeah, I'd say that too. Do you like spicy food?
I didn't used to, but my wife is Chinese, and she really likes spicy food. And when we were dating, I started to go to the local Chinese restaurant here in town and slowly have them add more and more spice to the point where the woman who owns it was finally asking me what's going on here. So I've built my tolerance up, um, not to the Szechuan spiciness yet, but I'm definitely better with spice than I used to be. And I love Indian food, and so that tends to be spicy as well.
Ah, of course. Okay then. How did you spend your last birthday?
My last birthday was spent in London. My wife, I mentioned, is Chinese, but she was living in London when we met, because her mother lives in London. And so we went back to London. We go rather frequently. So we were in London because my birthday and her mom's birthday are 5 days apart. And her mom's birthday was a big year for her. So we went back in time to celebrate both. So I was in London, and I was fortunate enough, my birthday fell on a Sunday. So we did a Sunday roast at a local pub.
Ah, brilliant. What is the best way to start the morning?
Coffee. Preferably Central or South American coffee.
Okay, it's a start. I'll give it
That's
that.
how I start my day, at least. Yeah.
Well, that's something. That's good. You gotta say focused.
Yeah, it's the only
What is
coffee I have, so I make sure it's a good one.
okay? Okay, that makes sense. What's your favorite season?
Fall. Yeah, I like autumn. I just love the. I mean, we don't get much of the change of the colors here in Southern California, though I have done some trips up north, Northern California, Colorado. One day I hope to get back east. But yeah, just for me, I'm a native Southern Californian, but I love like hats and coats. So which I don't get to wear much here. So I do whip them out when we head back to London. We did spend a winter in London once, and I realized this Southern Californian did not have any clothes anywhere near warm enough. So and we did a last year we did a Christmas market cruise end of November along the Rhine. Same thing. I was freezing the whole time. Very enjoyable experience, but I definitely need to upgrade my winter gear.
Ah, yes, okay. That's cool. If someone wrote a book about you, what do you think its title would be?
Oh, probably something. I was a late bloomer. I spent all my time either at school to get my degrees, and then started teaching. And I wasn't 35 till I first left the country. So something along the lines of like late bloomer or something like that, because it up until then it was pretty boring. Uh, then I started to travel, and it got a little more interesting.
Ah, okay. Would you rather never use social media again or never watch another movie or TV show again?
I'd be good with either, to be honest with you. Right now, I've always had a love-hate relationship with social media, so I think I could give that up easily. But I have to admit, I'm very underwhelmed with modern films and TV, at least what Hollywood's producing. I'm watching a lot of foreign films and series these days, Korean, and I really like the Nordic noir. But social media, if I had to make a choice.
Okay, that's cool. What hobby would you get into if time and money weren't an issue?
The one thing I do feel bad about, so I've always been one of those, while I teach mathematics, I've always had a, creative outlet. writing, photography, used to be really into music, used to compose a lot. Um, these days, I just have, several guitars collecting dust. So I would probably return to that, upgrade all of my equipment, really put the time into it. Because I feel like, I still play guitar like I did 30 years ago, because I only pick it up now and again. I like, and some of the music I listen to is, that I'd like to be able to play. I'm really into progressive rock, so it far exceeds I would put my time and effort into at least getting up to playing as well as I think I could.
Ah, all right then. Another question from the top of my head. Have you heard of a drink called banana friche?
No, I have not.
I get that a lot. So yeah, I mean I understand it's pretty rare these days. About yeah, it speaks for itself really. You know how it is.
Right. No. It was interesting because we went into lockdown here in California March of 2020. So one of the ways I decided to kind of keep busy was I started off doing a nightly cocktail, which I'd take a photo of and post online. And then when I realized the lockdown was going to continue after about 3 months, I switched it to weekly because daily was getting to be a bit much. But I did not come across that one. And I
Ah,
did
all
about
right then.
200 cocktails all told.
Ah, okay, very good. What's your strangest hidden talent?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I'm not quite sure. I have an odd talent, which is used to freak some people out when I did group travel, which is we'd get there with a group, and then the guide would hand everybody out their keys and let them know their room number. And I don't try to do it, but I just by listening, I know everybody's room number. So and then I remember every hotel, everybody's room number. So like 2 days later, we'll be at a different hotel, and someone forgot what room they were in because I remember the previous room number and I could always tell them. Um, but that would start to freak people out, understandably. So I try to consciously not do it anymore.
Oh, okay, that's understandable. I've been freaked out too if someone knew my room number. Like, oh my gosh, are you psychic?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
So I was just like,
madness.
I just don't mean to know it. I'll just keep it to myself now.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, that's crazy though.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a mathematician, and I'm very good with numbers. One time as a prank, again, early days, we had a guide who was always off drinking, grabbing more drinks, and he left his wallet on the table, and so I was just a couple of us, and they thought, oh, wouldn't it be funny if one of us took his wallet, and Jeremy, why don't you do it? Because he'll never think you stole it. So I did, and he didn't realize it was gone. So then the next morning, he came out hunting for it. So not only did I give it back to him, but I started reciting his credit card number, which I had memorized. I stopped at 8 digits, but just did give him a bit of a panic.
Yeah, I think it's best to stop at 8 digits because for legal reasons, obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah. What fictional item do you wish you owned in real life?
I would love to have some sort of like transportation like they have in Star Trek. I mean, it'd just be so awesome to just beam over to places rather than having to fly 10, 12, 13 hours.
Ooh, okay. That'd be
That
pretty
or a
cool.
TARDIS. I could also live with a TARDIS.
Oh, yes, that's a good one. Where do you see yourself 20 years from now?
Well, the current 5-year plan is to retire early and move to the UK. So I'm hoping that's realized. So then in 15 years after that, hopefully I'm still in the UK, fully retired. By then, I should be done with my travels. So maybe I'm just editing old photos or hanging out in pubs. I don't know.
Okay, nice. What has been the highs and the lows of your entire life so far?
Oh, let's see. Highs. Um, the story of how I met my wife was fascinating. I won't go into the whole thing. but we both met. So she's born in China, living in the UK. We both met in Tunisia on a trip I wasn't supposed to be on and that I almost didn't make due to a flight cancellation. Had no clue, obviously, we were going to meet, and then it worked out wonderfully. So, I mean, that was definitely a high. Getting my full time professorship was wonderful because it's, you know, after you get your degrees, it's very difficult to land a full time job, especially full time tenured, which means basically after a certain, once you achieve tenure, you've got security, job security, which is wonderful. Lows, the lowest for me was about before I was 40, uh, almost a year to a day of each other, I lost both my parents. So my mom had battled with cancer, and her story was really difficult because it started. My dad was off, so I was in the oncologist's office with her, holding her hand when she was diagnosed, and then I was the one that they chose to choose when to take her off everything at the end. So that was difficult. And I said, then almost a year to the day after that, my dad died. So that was a rough year and took me a while to rebound from. I will fully admit that was about 10 years ago.
Wow, that's sad. Well, we all have those days.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that that year was really bad, and then after I lost my dad, but then 6 months later I got married. So I mean, there's highs and lows within a year.
Yep, a lot of things can change so fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think a hot dog is a sandwich?
I go back and forth on that one, to be honest with you. I really do. I had to think, again, the mathematician in me likes really precise definitions. So I'm sort of like, well, what is the definition of a sandwich? Does it have to have two slices of bread? In which case, what's an open-faced sandwich? Yeah. So I genuinely don't know. I guess maybe it is. But that is something I've given some thought to, I have to admit.
Yeah, that's quite an intriguing question. There's so many ways to answer the question. Which pizza topping do you most relate to?
We have the California Pizza Kitchen out here, and I love the barbecue chicken pizza. So I would say barbecue chicken.
Ah, okay. Fabulous. If you had to lose one of your senses, which would you choose to lose?
I would probably go with smell. I'm not quite sure what I would lose. I bet food would taste different, but I could probably get away with that one.
Okay. And if you had to pick between skydiving, bungee jumping, or scuba diving, which one would you choose?
I'd go with the scuba diving. Yeah, I've not bungee jumped. Not necessarily the height, just I don't trust the equipment. So yeah, I'd probably go with the scuba diving.
Yep, it's a popular option, scuba diving.
It
Like
just
all
seems the
has.
safest of the three to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Would you rather be able to breathe underwater or have the agility of a cat?
Oh, the agility of a cat would be really nice, especially, getting a little older now, have some arthritis in one shoulder and bursitis in an ankle. So yeah, that sounds really appealing. Yeah.
Right then. What's your favorite type of day?
I'm an odd native Southern Californian. Everybody out here wants sun and heat. Today's a little overcast and a little cooler, and that to me is great. Don't mind a little rain either. Again, you have a chance to put on a hat, put on a jacket. I'm a happy camper.
Yep, absolutely. If you could use magic to do one mundane task for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I would go with cleaning, dusting, vacuuming. Not a fan.
Fair enough. I'm not a fan either. What was the strangest dream you've ever had?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I don't. I say I don't often dream, but I know there's the theory that we always dream. We just don't remember our dreams. So I will just say that I don't remember many of mine. I don't think they don't tend to be very vivid. I do remember when I was younger, I had this, it was very unusual because I had this recurring series of dreams. Like every night it was the same story. It was about this like huge dark wall, and I was trying to get over this wall. And like several nights, it was like a continuation. Wherever the dream left off, the next night it continued. Did that for about 5 nights. It was fascinating. I ended up writing a little short story about it because it was just so odd. Um, 40 years later, I still remember it.
Ah, all right then. What app can you not believe someone hasn't made yet?
God, with AI now, it's going to be. I see pretty much everything we can have out there. Um, One of the things that is challenging as a photographer is what's called dynamic range. So that's the camera's sensitivity to light and dark. So our eyes are very good at having that quite a big separation. Cameras are not. So when you take a photo, let's say it's got a really bright section and a really dark section, you either adjust it for one or the other. So do like the bright section, which makes the dark very dark, or the opposite. Or you have to shoot multiple exposures, and then underexpose one, overexpose one, merge them. Um, Cameras have gotten better and better at this, but it would be wonderful if there was something out there that we could add to a camera or do in post that could adjust, a high dynamic range photo to be more like what our eyes see. Because to get it to look like what our eyes see takes an incredible amount of post processing work currently. So that I think would be great because I like light and shadow. I like high contrast, but man, it can be challenging to get it right. So that would be cool. Just something I could just attach to the camera, or after I take a photo, pop it into an app, click a button, and have it do it for me rather than the time it takes now.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some red flags to watch out for in the daily life?
Oh, I would just say unfriendliness. Someone doesn't look you in the eye or doesn't acknowledge you can kind of the yeah, I like to have pretty good situational awareness, both just when I'm at home and particularly when I travel. Uh, Seeing people in a small group can be tricky, especially like, if you're on the lookout for pickpockets, um, or being aware if someone like bumps into you, quick check your pockets, or does it have someone standing behind you? Um, but overall, I'd just say, yeah, to me, it's just like if I look at someone or smile at someone and I get nothing back, or I'm just entirely ignored, okay, I'm just gonna move on. It's not worth my time.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And that is all we have for this episode. It was great having you, Jeremiah, talking about your works as a photographer and travel writer and a lot of other things. It's been great.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And until next time, stay opinionated.